What if I told you that a small, dusty coin lying forgotten in an old drawer could change your destiny forever? A coin so rare, so powerful it could rewrite your life story. Today, we're diving deep into the unbelievable world of American coins, where 1 cent can be worth millions, and a single discovery can make ordinary people legends overnight. Don't blink, your miracle might be next. First up is the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny 1 cent coin. Have you ever held something in your hand that looked completely ordinary, yet carried a story worth millions? A tiny coin, rough around the edges, faded by time, but powerful enough to make your heart skip a beat. This is not just a coin. This is the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, one of the most shocking treasures in the entire history of American money. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. A war-torn world in 1944. The U.S. was deep in World War II. Metal was scarce, every ounce of copper and steel was meant for bullets, planes, and tanks. Factories were roaring. America was fighting for freedom. And in the middle of that chaos, the U.S. Mint struck a few coins that would one day become legends. That year, most pennies were made of copper, but something unthinkable happened. A small number of pennies were mistakenly struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943, or even foreign bronze metals, creating coins that were never supposed to exist. And those coins, my friend, would one day rewrite history. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny may look like a humble piece of change, but in the right condition, it's worth more than gold. Collectors call it the ghost of the minting room, a coin born from human error but destined for greatness. Imagine holding a 1 cent coin and realizing it's worth over $1 million. Yes, that's right. A single cent that can pay for a house, a car, or even change an entire family's future. But the story of this coin isn't just about metal and money. It's about fate. In 1944, people never imagined that something as small as a penny could outlive generations. Soldiers carried them in their pockets for luck. Mothers dropped them into jars, praying their sons would come home. Every coin that passed through their hands carried emotion, hope, and struggle. That's what makes the 1944 Wheat Penny more than rare. It's sacred. Now imagine this. Somewhere in an old drawer, maybe even in your own home, lies a 1944 penny that looks no different from the rest. You might pick it up, think it's worthless, and let it fall back. But what if that single penny was one of the rare steel cents accidentally made that year? What if you just dropped a coin worth $1.7 million back into the shadows? Unbelievable? Yes. Impossible? No, because it has already happened. Collectors around the world are still hunting for the 1944 steel Lincoln cent. A mistake coin, struck when a few steel blanks from 1943 were left inside minting machines by accident. Only a handful are known to exist, and every time one resurfaces, the world goes silent. The last one sold at auction for nearly $1.75 million. Shocking even the experts. Imagine the heart of the person who found it. Shaking hands, disbelief, tears in their eyes, realizing they were holding a miracle born from metal. The copper version, too, can be worth thousands depending on its condition. A well-preserved 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with strong detail and rich color can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. But the steel version, that's the dream. That's the legend whispered about in coin shops, discussed in online forums, and locked away in glass cases under museum lights. It's crazy to think that such coins still exist out there. Maybe buried, maybe forgotten, maybe sitting inside an old jar passed down through generations. And that's what makes this story emotional, because for someone, somewhere, that discovery is waiting. A discovery that can flip poverty into prosperity and turn an ordinary day into a life-changing miracle. You see, the beauty of the 1944 Wheat Penny isn't just in its rarity. It's in the contrast between what it is and what it represents. A penny is supposed to be the lowest, most ignored piece of currency. Yet this small forgotten circle of copper or steel, became a symbol of hope, luck, and destiny. It's proof that even the smallest things in life can carry unimaginable value. Think about it. During that war, people lost homes, dreams, and loved ones. And yet, decades later, Something as small as this penny is bringing tears of joy, excitement, and fortune to those who find it. It's almost as if every coin carries the heartbeat of that generation, waiting for the right moment to reveal its worth. So the next time you see a Lincoln Wheat penny dated 1944, don't ignore it. Look closely. Feel the texture. If it sticks to a magnet, it's steel. If not, it's copper. Either way, you could be holding a piece of living history. A survivor from an era when America was fighting for its life, and the mint made a mistake that became a miracle. Sometimes life hides its biggest treasures in the smallest corners. Sometimes what looks worthless is actually priceless. And sometimes, a 1-cent coin can remind you that destiny has its own mysterious way of rewarding patience, faith, and curiosity. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't just an old coin. It's a messenger from the past, a whisper of history, a spark of hope for the present, and a silent reminder that the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. So if you ever find one, hold it tight, because you might not just be holding money, you might be holding a miracle. Second up is the 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny 1-cent coin. What if destiny had a heartbeat, and it pulsed inside a single copper coin? What if a forgotten penny, older than your grandparents, could whisper the story of a nation's struggle, its recovery, its dream, and your own unimaginable luck? This isn't fantasy. This is real. This is the 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that carries the soul of America during one of its darkest times. Picture the world in 1935. The Great Depression had gripped the United States like an icy hand. Families were broken. Bread lines stretched across the cities. Jobs were disappearing. Money was scarce, and yet, the U.S. Mint continued to strike coins that would one day become symbols of resilience. In the middle of poverty and pain, a small, shining cent rolled off the minting press, bearing the calm, unwavering face of Abraham Lincoln. No one could have imagined that this tiny piece of metal, born in suffering, would someday carry unimaginable worth, not just in dollars but in emotion. The 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny wasn't just currency. It was hope in disguise. Every cent earned meant food for a day, maybe warmth for a child, maybe survival for a family. So people held onto these coins with love, fear, and faith. And as decades passed, that same coin, forgotten in drawers, dropped in cracks, buried in soil, became a messenger of history, whispering the story of survival to anyone who dares to listen. Most 1935 pennies were made from copper, about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. But their true value lies not in their metal, but in their meaning. The wheat ears design on the back symbolizes growth, persistence, and the harvest that always follows hardship. And maybe that's why this coin connects so deeply with people today, because every scar it carries mirrors our own struggles. Now imagine this. You're sifting through an old box of coins that once belonged to your grandfather. You see dull colors, worn faces, nothing special, until one coin catches your eye. It's the 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It feels heavier somehow, not in weight but in energy. And then you realize this tiny copper circle could be worth hundreds, maybe thousands, depending on its condition, its mint mark, its story. And if it's one of the rarest variations, like a proof strike or an off-center mint error, you might just be holding something collectors dream of finding their entire lives. In pristine mint state condition, a 1935 wheat penny can fetch over $2,000, and special varieties have sold for far more. But the real shock comes when you see what people are willing to pay for perfection. The slightest difference, a double die, a faint mint error, a cleaner strike, can raise its value beyond imagination. Because coin collectors don't just buy metal. They buy history, emotion, and the chance to hold a piece of time itself. Now listen closely, because this is where it becomes emotional. During the Depression, millions of Americans believed they had nothing left. But a single penny, just 1 cent, could still buy a loaf of bread, a seed for tomorrow, or the hope that life would one day be better. When you hold a 1935 Lincoln penny, you're not just holding currency. You're holding the fingerprints of people who refuse to give up. Every scratch, every dent is a silent echo of their journey. The laughter, the pain, the courage. And maybe that's why this coin still has a soul. It's not shiny anymore. It's human. It carries tears, prayers, and dreams. It's the sound of a factory worker dropping it into a pocket after a 12-hour shift. It's the weight of a mother's hope when she saved every coin to feed her children. It's the echo of Abraham Lincoln's promise that freedom and perseverance could rise again from the ashes of hardship. But here's where the story gets unbelievable. Among thousands of regular 1935 pennies, a few extraordinary ones slipped through the mince machines. A slight doubling in Lincoln's profile, a tiny misalignment in the wheat design, a difference so small the naked eye might miss it. Yet those errors transformed ordinary coins into treasures worth thousands. A simple mistake from 1935, now a modern-day miracle. And yes, some of those error coins are still waiting out there, hiding in old jars, tucked into forgotten albums, sleeping in drawers across America. Maybe one is waiting for you. Think about that. A coin once used to buy bread during the Great Depression might now buy you a car, pay your bills, or rewrite your destiny. It's almost poetic. The same penny that once saved a family's meal could now save yours. That's not luck. That's history's way of repaying faith. So when you hold a 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny, don't just see copper. See courage. See the nation rebuilding itself. See the people who believed in tomorrow, even when today felt hopeless. That's the real value of this coin. It carries humanity itself. If you ever find one, take a deep breath. Feel its texture. Imagine it passing from hand to hand, across generations, through laughter and tears. Realize that you're touching time, a piece of the American heart that never stopped beating. Some treasures shine, others whisper. The 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny whispers. It doesn't need gold or diamonds to be priceless. Its worth lies in the invisible, in memory, struggle, and triumph. And that's why, even after nearly a century, people still chase it, cherish it, and tell its story with trembling voices. Because in the end, this coin reminds us of something powerful. That even in your lowest moment you still hold value. Even when the world forgets you, time remembers. Even when you think you're just another face in the crowd, destiny knows your name. The 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't just a collectible. It's a heartbeat from the past, pulsing through copper, whispering to those who listen. You matter. You always did. And maybe, just maybe, that's why one day this coin will find you, because miracles don't always glitter. Sometimes they rust softly, waiting for the right hands to feel their worth. Third up is the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny 1-cent coin. What if time itself could hide miracles inside the smallest things we ignore every single day? A coin that people once tossed into vending machines without a thought, now whispered about by collectors, historians, and dreamers. It looks ordinary, it feels ordinary, but its story is anything but. This is the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the final heartbeat of an era, the last breath of a design that carried America through wars, dreams, and rebirth. 1957, a year when the world was changing. Elvis was singing, cars were glowing with chrome, televisions were replacing radios, and the United States was preparing for a new age of discovery. And yet, hidden in the clatter of change, the U.S. Mint pressed millions of coins bearing the same proud image of Abraham Lincoln and the familiar wheat ears that had defined a generation since 1909. It was the end of a chapter. Nobody realized it then, but these pennies would soon vanish, replaced by a new look, a new symbol, a new century. Every 1957 wheat penny carries a silent goodbye. It says farewell to the wheat reverse, that humble yet powerful design of two stalks protecting the words 1 cent. It says farewell to an age when a single coin could still buy a cup of coffee, or when a child could trade 3 pennies for a candy bar. And it says farewell to the men and women who built the American dream with nothing but copper, courage, and calloused hands. Yet destiny wasn't finished with this coin, because the final wheat pennies, the 1957s, would one day become emotional artifacts, reminders of what was lost and what was found again. For collectors today, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't just another old cent. It's a bridge. a bridge between two designs, two generations, two worlds. A coin that carries the warmth of the past and the spark of the future. Now here's where it becomes truly unbelievable. Some of these 1957 pennies, especially the ones with the D mint mark from Denver, have fetched shocking prices. Not because they're rare in number, but because of perfection. A single flawless specimen, gleaming as if time forgot to touch it, once sold for over $5,000 at auction. Others with subtle minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, have stunned the world with four-figure sales. A 1-cent coin turned into a fortune, simply because someone noticed what others ignored. But the emotional power of the 1957 wheat penny isn't measured in money alone. It's the feeling of holding the past between your fingers. It's realizing that this coin has lived longer than most of us ever will. It passed through wars, celebrations, heartbreaks, and miracles. And it's still here, breathing history. Imagine a father in 1957 handing his son a handful of pennies for ice cream. That boy grows up, has children of his own, grows old, and maybe, just maybe, one of those pennies still exists, waiting to be rediscovered. When you find a 1957 penny today, you're not just finding copper, you're finding connection. A handshake across time. A whisper that says, "We were here. We mattered." The coin itself is simple, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. But copper carries warmth. Hold it in your hand long enough and it feels alive. That's what makes this penny different. It doesn't just shine. It glows. It's as if Lincoln's calm, steadfast face is reminding you. No matter how small you feel, your story has worth. Now think of the irony. When the new Lincoln Memorial Cent replaced it in 1959, millions of these wheat pennies were tossed aside, melted or forgotten. People wanted the new, the modern, the shiny. No one knew that within a few decades, collectors would be paying thousands just to bring these old coins back home. Sometimes the world forgets the value of what built it. Sometimes progress hides the beauty of what came before. That's why the 1957 wheat penny hits so hard, emotionally and historically. It's not rare because of how many exist. It's rare because of what it represents. It's the last echo of an American design that saw a nation rise from dust to glory. It's the final verse in a century-old song about resilience, freedom, and faith. And then there's the mystery, the possibility that one of those pennies you see every day might be extraordinary. Imagine checking your change, seeing a 1957 D penny, and realizing it's a double-die variety worth thousands. The shock, the disbelief, the racing heart, that moment is pure magic. People have found life-changing coins in their pocket change, and every time it happens, the 1957 wheat penny's legend grows stronger. But behind the numbers, there's something deeper, an emotion. Because this coin is more than a collectible. It's a symbol of endings and beginnings. The wheat stalks on its reverse stand for harvest, a final gathering of what was sown long ago. And that's what makes it so moving. It represents closure. The end of the wheat era, yes, but also the promise of something new. So if you ever come across a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, hold it for a second longer than you normally would. Feel its weight. Think about where it's been, the pockets it's passed through, the hands it's touched, the stories it's heard. You are not just touching metal. You are touching time itself. Because one day, when people look back, they'll realize that the coins we ignore are the ones that carried our humanity the longest. The 1957 wheat penny is living proof that beauty doesn't vanish. It just waits quietly for someone to remember. So keep your eyes open. Maybe it's sitting in a jar at your grandparents' house. Maybe it's lying under your car seat. Maybe, right now, destiny is waiting for you to notice a tiny, reddish coin that has outlived generations. It may only say 1 cent, but it holds a story worth more than gold. A story that began in 1957 and refuses to end until someone like you listens. Fourth up is the 1998 Lincoln Memorial Cent coin. Sometimes, destiny hides itself in plain sight. You see it every day. You touch it. You spend it without a thought. But one day, one ordinary-looking coin could whisper your name and change your life forever. That's not fiction. That's not exaggeration. That's the unbelievable truth behind one of America's most mysterious coins, the 1998 Lincoln Memorial Cent. A coin so common, so unnoticeable, yet hiding versions worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. And the secret? It's all in the tiniest of details. A mistake so small, yet powerful enough to make people millionaires overnight. Let's travel back for a moment to 1998. The year Google was born. The year the internet started changing everything. The world was moving faster than ever before. But deep inside the US Mint, among billions of ordinary coins being pressed every second, something extraordinary happened. An unintentional error. A twist of fate. A handful of 1998 Lincoln cents were struck using the wrong reverse design. A design meant for the next year's coin, the 1999 Lincoln cent. That one small mistake created one of the most shocking modern coin legends in history. They call it the 1998 Wide AM cent because, unlike the normal version where the A and M in America are close together, this one has them spaced wider apart. Sounds small, right? Just a few millimeters difference. But that single spacing mistake transformed ordinary copper-plated zinc into a collector's dream. A miracle hiding inside pocket change. Imagine this. You're sitting at home counting coins from your wallet. You see a 1998 penny and almost ignore it. But then you notice something strange. The letters in America look slightly different. You search online. Your heart starts pounding. You realize you might be holding the legendary 1998 Wide AM penny. One that's been sold for over $5,000, sometimes even $10,000, depending on its condition. A coin worth 1 cent, now worth more than a motorcycle, a wedding, or even months of rent. Unbelievable? Yes. Impossible? Not even close. Because this mistake has been proven, certified, and hunted by collectors all over the world. But this coin carries something far more emotional than its price tag. It represents the unpredictability of life. How something completely ordinary, something you'd overlook 1,000 times, can suddenly turn into the most valuable thing you've ever owned. It's destiny disguised as copper. It's the universe reminding you, never underestimate the small things. The 1998 Lincoln Memorial Cent carries Abraham Lincoln's calm and powerful face, the same symbol of honesty, courage, and sacrifice that has been on U.S. pennies since 1909. But on its reverse, the Lincoln Memorial glows with silent pride. If you look closely enough, through the pillars, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside. A design detail so delicate it still amazes collectors today. Every mark on that coin tells a story of American persistence. By 1998, the world had changed, but Lincoln's face remained, watching generations grow, reminding them that even in change, some things must stay true. That's why this coin feels emotional. It's a bridge between history and modern life, between mistakes and miracles. Now imagine the coin's journey, from the minting press in Philadelphia, through countless hands. Maybe a shopkeeper, a student, a veteran, a mother buying milk. Each person unknowingly touching something rare, something historic. And years later, someone finally looks closer and realizes they've been carrying a treasure all along. That's not just a discovery. That's fate unfolding. The 1998 Lincoln Memorial Cent also hides another emotional truth. It's one of the final coins of the 20th century. It's the last few years of an era before America stepped into a digital future. Before smartphones, before crypto, before cashless payments, there was this humble coin, still carrying real weight, real texture, real history. And among its billions of ordinary twins are a few miracles. Coins that defied the system, coins that slipped past perfection, coins that carried destiny in disguise. Collectors say holding one of these Wide AM pennies feels surreal, because you realize you're not just touching copper, you're touching a moment when human error created beauty. A single mistake became art, and that art became value. Maybe that's the real emotional core of the 1998 penny. That imperfection isn't failure, it's fate. Now think about this. Right now, someone somewhere could be walking with one of these coins in their pocket, unaware that it could pay for a car or cover a year's tuition. It's a reminder that life often hides blessings inside the ordinary. It's why every coin deserves a second glance, a second chance. And for those who collect, this penny is more than a find. It's a feeling. The moment when your heart skips. The moment you realize you've caught a piece of history. That thrill. That rush of disbelief. That spark of, how is this even possible? That's the emotional heartbeat of every collector's dream. The 1998 Lincoln Memorial Cent may look common, but behind its copper glow lies one of the most stunning stories of chance in modern coinage. A story where one tiny gap between two letters turned metal into fortune. Where imperfection became perfection. Where simplicity became legend. So if you ever see a 1998 penny, don't walk past it. Don't toss it aside. Hold it under the light. Look at America. If the A and M are apart, wide, bold, defiant, then congratulations. You've just met a miracle. It's more than a penny. It's proof that even in a world full of billions, the rarest things still find a way to stand out. It's proof that you never know how close you are to a blessing until you look closer. Maybe that's why people love coins like this. Because they don't just tell us about history, they tell us about life. That value hides in plain sight. That even mistakes can make miracles. And that sometimes, the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. So remember, the next time a 1998 Lincoln Memorial Cent lands in your hand, don't underestimate it. Because it might not just be worth a cent. It might be worth a story. Your story. Fifth up is the 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent coin. What if the very coin you spent without thinking twice was actually worth more than your entire paycheck? What if 1 cent could rewrite your destiny? Sounds insane, right? But it happened. And it's still happening because the 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent is one of the most shocking, unimaginable, and emotional coin stories in modern American history. The year was 1983, a time when America was shifting, changing, and rebuilding its strength. But inside the U.S. Mint, something extraordinary happened, something no one expected. The country had just changed the way it made pennies. Before 1982, Lincoln cents were made mostly of copper. But starting mid-1982, they switched to a cheaper, lighter metal zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper. It saved money for the government, but it also set the stage for one of the greatest coin miracles ever. Because in 1983, a few pennies, just a few, were accidentally struck from the wrong metal. They weren't zinc-coated. They were solid copper, just like the old ones. A minting mistake so rare, so unbelievable, that collectors today call it the copper ghost of 1983. One of these rare copper 1983 Lincoln cents sold for more than $23,000. Yes, $23,000. For a penny. And another, in perfect condition, was valued near $30,000. Imagine something you could find in change, now worth a fortune that could change your life overnight. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? But the proof exists, certified, tested, and authenticated. Ordinary people have found them. People just like you. And that's what makes this story so emotional, because it could happen to anyone. A single glance at a coin you were about to spend could turn into a moment you'll remember for the rest of your life. Now think about it. You're at a grocery store. You pay your bill and a few pennies drop into your hand. You glance at one. It's dated 1983. You almost toss it away. But something inside tells you to look again. You place it on a scale and the weight shocks you. Instead of 2.5 grams, it's 3.1, the weight of pure copper. Your heartbeat races. Your hands shake. Because in that moment, you're not holding just a coin. You're holding a miracle forged by mistake. And it's not the only one. 1983 also produced a second, even rarer variety, the 1983 double die reverse penny. Look closely at the back. The words 1 cent and United States of America appear slightly doubled. Not by design but by accident. That doubling transformed an ordinary coin into a collectible masterpiece worth thousands of dollars. It's breathtaking, isn't it? A single penny worth more than gold. But what truly makes the 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent unforgettable isn't just its value. It's the emotion behind it. Because this coin represents something deeper. How even in a world obsessed with perfection, mistakes can become miracles. The 1983 penny symbolizes transition. It came from a time when America was redefining itself, just as the mint was redefining its materials. Old copper meeting new zinc, tradition colliding with change. And in that collision, something magical was born. A few stray copper blanks, left over from the previous year, somehow slipped into the minting machines. Nobody noticed, nobody cared, until decades later, when the truth surfaced, and collectors realized the mistake was worth a small fortune. That's life, isn't it? Sometimes the things we overlook, the things we call worthless, end up carrying the greatest value. And maybe that's why this coin feels so emotional, because it mirrors life itself. We chase the shiny, the new, the perfect, but the real treasures are often hidden in our past, disguised as imperfections. The 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent carries Abraham Lincoln's steady gaze, a reminder of endurance, honesty, and human struggle. And on the back, the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of timeless honor and remembrance. Between those two sides lies a story of American resilience and human wonder. When collectors hold this coin, they don't just see metal. They feel destiny. They feel the invisible hands of time weaving miracles into the ordinary. Because this coin, this little penny, teaches us something powerful. That even the smallest things can hold unimaginable potential. And that's why millions of people still check their pocket change, hoping to find that one elusive 1983 copper cent. Some even keep scales at home, weighing every penny they get. Because one lucky moment, one unnoticed coin, could turn into a lifetime story. Imagine your hands trembling as you realize what you've just found. Your heart pounding louder than your thoughts. That single instant when disbelief turns into tears, not because of greed, but because you've just witnessed a miracle. A mistake made 40 years ago, waiting patiently all this time, just to find you. It's unbelievable, isn't it? But that's the truth behind the 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent. A mistake that made history. A coin that turned ordinary people into collectors, collectors into dreamers, and dreamers into believers. So the next time you see a 1983 penny, don't look away. Hold it close. Check its weight. Look for doubling. Because that little piece of copper and zinc might carry the power to rewrite your story. And even if it doesn't, even if it's just an ordinary coin, it still carries something priceless. Carries the spirit of a time when America changed forever. Carries a message that's as human as it gets. That sometimes the smallest mistake can create the biggest miracle. The 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent isn't just a coin. It's a whisper from the universe, telling you to never overlook what seems ordinary. Because hidden in plain sight, miracles are waiting. So maybe, just maybe, that next penny you pick up from the ground might be worth a story no one will believe until you show them proof. Sixth up is the 1996 Lincoln Memorial Cent coin. Sometimes the most unbelievable treasures are hidden right under our noses, in plain sight. The 1996 Lincoln Memorial Cent, a coin so common, so ordinary, that millions walk past it every single day without a second thought. But hidden among those billions of ordinary cents lies a secret so rare, so powerful, that it can change a life in one heartbeat. A simple penny worth thousands. A mistake so quiet, so delicate, that it took decades to be discovered. And when it shocked the entire coin-collecting world. Let's rewind the story, back to 1996. Bill Clinton was president. Gas was just over $1 a gallon. People were talking about technology, not treasure. No one imagined that something extraordinary was being born in the U.S. Mint that year, something that would make even the smallest coin unforgettable. The Lincoln Memorial Cent of 1996 looks normal, the face of Abraham Lincoln on the front, the proud Lincoln Memorial on the back. But somewhere inside the Philadelphia Mint, something unexpected happened. A small number of these coins were struck with a flaw so mysterious that even experts struggled to believe it at first. They were missing something vital, something almost impossible. They were missing their mint mark. No P, no D, nothing. Just a clean, blank space beneath the date, as if the mint itself had forgotten its signature. The no mint mark 1996 Lincoln Cent was born, a ghost coin in the world of millions, and collectors went wild. Because a missing mint mark doesn't just mean a printing error. It means rarity. It means mystery. It means value, big value. One verified 1996 no-mint mark Lincoln penny sold for over $5,000, and collectors believe that a flawless, uncirculated one could reach well beyond that number. And that's just the beginning. Because 1996 wasn't just the year of the no-mint mark miracle. It was also the year the mint accidentally created double die errors, broad strikes, and off-center strikes. Each of these mistakes, born out of human error, machine misalignment, and timing mismatches, turned a 1-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. Imagine pulling a penny from your wallet and realizing that the lettering Liberty is doubled. Or the image of Lincoln's face slightly off-center, almost like he's peeking out from the coin's edge. You'd think it's a damaged penny. But to collectors, that's a goldmine. Some of these rare 1996 error pennies have been auctioned for $10,000 to $15,000, depending on their condition and the type of error. One simple coin, the kind we toss in jars and drawers, becoming the kind of miracle that can pay off a car, a home, or even college tuition. But this isn't just about money. It's about meaning. Because every one of these coins tells a human story. The story of imperfection, of chance, of how something so small and flawed can end up becoming legendary. The 1996 Lincoln Memorial Cent reminds us that even in a world built for perfection, it's the mistakes that become timeless. The imperfect ones. The ones that break the pattern. Because perfection is predictable, but imperfection is priceless. Now imagine this. You're cleaning out an old box. You find a handful of pennies at the bottom. Forgotten, dusty, dull. You hold one up. It's dated 1996. You almost ignore it. But something feels strange. No mint mark. You grab your magnifying glass, your heart racing. The Liberty looks doubled. The rim looks uneven. Your breath catches. Could it be? Could you be holding one of the rarest modern pennies ever struck? That's the emotional punch of the 1996 Lincoln Cent. It hides its greatness behind an ordinary mask. No gold shine. No silver glint, just copper-plated zinc, quietly holding a miracle within. And here's the twist that still gives collectors chills. Even after decades of study, we still don't know exactly how many of these error coins exist. No official count, no full list, just stories, rumors, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, another one is still out there waiting to be found. This mystery turned the 1996 penny into a legend. People started checking every coin that passed through their hands. Some used digital scales to measure its exact weight. Others bought microscopes to study every letter, every edge, every line. And a few lucky ones found gold hidden in copper. Because when you finally find one, when you realize what's in your hand, it's not just about the money. It's the feeling, that rush of emotion when disbelief melts into joy. When something ordinary becomes extraordinary right before your eyes. When a coin from 1996 whispers, "You found me." Collectors say it's not about getting rich, it's about witnessing history. Because these coins are like frozen mistakes in time. Proof that even precision has its flaws. And those flaws are where magic hides. The 1996 Lincoln Memorial Cent is more than metal. It's a heartbeat. A spark of human imperfection turned into beauty. A reminder that no matter how small we feel, we all carry value beyond measure. Even the smallest penny can hold a story of hope. Even the tiniest error can become a masterpiece. And even a forgotten coin from decades ago can still shine brighter than ever. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or check your change, pause for a second. Look closely, because one of those old, scratched, brown pennies might be the 1996 Lincoln Memorial Cent, the one that's waiting to surprise you. And when you find it, you'll understand something powerful. It's not just about the worth of the coin. It's about the wonder of discovery. It's about realizing that sometimes the smallest things, the ones we ignore, the ones we overlook, end up holding the biggest miracles. The 1996 Lincoln Cent is proof that destiny hides in details. That miracles don't need to shine. They just need to exist. And that sometimes, even a single cent, can be worth more than words could ever describe.